Okay. Rise and shine. Okay, so just randomly vlogging this morning, but one thing I want to talk about in my vlog this morning is just to explain how I use my DJI Osmo Pocket 3 for my vlogs. Okay, so for like weeks now, I've been looking for a shelf to put in my YouTube studio just to make the aesthetics of my studio better, especially my background anytime I want to create content in my studio. And I've been checking the British Art Foundation because that's one of the places you can get cheap furniture. So I need to put my ND filter. So I think the exposure is better right now. So I'm going ahead to the British Art Foundation to check for a shelf for my studio. Then I'm going to be talking about how I use my Osmo Pocket 3 to vlog. So let me put it somewhere. Actually, the Osmo Pocket 3 is a very nice camera. There's no brainer about that. When you go on YouTube these days, and almost every creators you see on YouTube, especially vloggers, are using the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. And if you have the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 or you're planning to get the DJI Osmo Pocket 3, you've certainly done one thing, which is checking out reviews about the Osmo Pocket 3 on YouTube. And you hear everyone talk about the camera, the 1 inch camera sensor, the Dlog, the aperture of the lens, talk about the technicalities of this camera and how professional it can be when you're using it. But then, based on first-hand experience, because I travel a lot and try as much as possible to vlog most of my travels. Okay, one of the major issues I've always had is when you're outdoor, the daylight changes a lot. Sometimes it's sunny, in another hour, the weather is down, it's cold, and you have a lot of issues with your exposure. And when I get to post production, I start to have issues in balancing exposures. Maybe in just a single cut, you're having the sun go up, go down in different instances, and you have a part of your video properly exposed, a part underexposed, and a part overexposed. And as a content creator, something discourages me the most, which is when I spend too much time in post production. It makes me lose the vibe of the content I'm trying to create. So, I just like to create my content and almost immediately be able to push them out, be able to do the post production in a very short while and push it out for viewers to watch, for anybody who wants to enjoy such content. So, which has now led me to the fact that one of the most simply ways to use Osmo Pocket 3 and get very professional footages is to shoot on auto exposure. That one has been working for me because I understand how they tell you can shoot 24 frames per second. If you're shooting 24 frames per second, you have to shoot on 1 over 50 shutter speed. If you're shooting on 60 frames per second, you have to shoot on 120 of a shutter speed. But sometimes when you get to the field, it's about what you can do on the field. It's about what can give you results on the field. Now, in my experience as a photographer and someone who creates videos, sometimes you have to break rules. You can't afford to confine yourself inside a box. So it's about what gives you results, not about the rules somebody has told you to always follow. Now, I shoot on auto for my vlogs so that in such a way that the camera itself balances the exposure. Normally, I'll set my camera to 24 frames per second and put it on auto. The camera decides the shutter speed to use. So as daylight changes, the camera itself balances the exposure by itself. And one thing I also do is, if the weather is good, if the weather is not very cold, I put on my ND filter. Right now, I have my ND filter on the camera, and I think it's still doing me a pretty good service. One of the problems I've encountered again while shooting manual outdoor is that every time the light changes, you have to change the setting of your ND filter. And sometimes you might have to remove one ND filter and put another one, depending on the value of the ND filter you're using. And number one, it makes you always every time put your hands inside the lens of the Osmo Pocket 3, and sometimes it even disrupts what you're doing because the moment the sun goes up, you want to change settings. The moment the sun comes down, you want to change settings. So why not just be on auto? The auto settings on 24 frames per second will still give me a very clean footage, and it's going to give me, I'm still going to shoot in 4K. It's not reducing the quality anyhow. And at the end of the day, I'm going to have good footages to edit in a single workflow and to put out there. And so, talking about automatic settings, the only one I put on full auto is the shutter speed. And the ISO is on this kind of setting where you set the value where it does not go below 50 and it does not go above a certain value, maybe 400, 800, or 1600. And I do that depending on the situation of the daylight. Currently now, I have my ISO set to values between 50 and 800. So depending on the changes in daylight, the ISO will also adjust itself, the shutter speed will adjust itself, and I'm fine. So I don't have to start changing my settings every minute when the light changes. So I can just go on the street and I keep doing my vlogs and I keep creating my content. And maybe sometimes when I want to do some strategic shots or maybe I want to shoot some strategic B-rolls, then I can go to like 60 frames per second, then also use manual settings just because that is specifically for B-rolls. So don't get confused about all the reviews you've watched on YouTube about how to use the Osmo Pocket 3. You can simply shoot on auto and you're going to have good footages. This is not a contest about who can deliver professional footages more than the other. This is basically about you being able to use the device you've bought with your money and is able to deliver value to you. Imagine right now I'm driving, also doing my vlog while driving in my car. Imagine the daylight keeps changing. Do I have to stop and start adjusting my camera? So it's also cool having to shooting on auto. So I don't even have to touch my camera. I don't have to get distracted because if you're creating content in this manner and the daylight is changing and you're overexposed, at the end of the day, it's either you are forced to start touching your camera to adjust it, or you lose all the footages you're shooting at that moment. And whatever idea or inspiration you are getting at that moment that's making you create the content you're creating, you might not really get them back. So, which is why I think just shoot on auto. When you get to an environment where there's a controlled lighting, then yeah, you can shoot in manual where you can control everything. So I'm still on my way to the British Art Foundation, not far from me, and I'm trying to look for a shelf which I can put in my studio, just to put something in my background, so like when I'm creating content, I can have a form of aesthetics in my background. Even now that I'm out of the car and like I'm out and I'm exposed to more daylight now, the camera automatically adjusts itself, and I think I prefer it that way. Here is the British Art. Let me see if I can find a shelf here. £35. Wow. And the height, like I can actually create content this way and just put my camera on the table and talk. Not today, actually. I ended up not buying anything. I didn't plan for the table, and the shelf was not actually what I was looking for. The height was not suitable because if I put the shelf behind me inside my studio space, it's not going to be seen. It's not going to create the kind of aesthetics I'm actually looking for. So I'll check back another day. I know one day I'll be lucky to find the ideal shelf I'm looking for. So let's get back. Oh, if you're actually wondering what I'm using to hold my Osmo Pocket 3 while I'm making videos in my car, I'm actually using the small rig suction stand, which suctions and glues the Osmo Pocket 3 to flat and smooth surfaces such as my windscreen. So it's very versatile. I use that while in the house, in the car. When I'm outside, I can easily film with it. Just any car that is parked anywhere, I just suction the stand onto any car windscreen and body. Bam! Then I stand there and I start filming. I think I also have a link to the item in the description of my videos. It's one of the very versatile accessories of DJI Osmo Pocket 3. It's very versatile. You can use it as an extension of the Osmo Pocket 3, and you can use it to hold your Osmo Pocket 3 to flat surfaces, especially when you need to stand and make videos where you want to gesture and you want to talk freely, and not when you're holding your Osmo Pocket 3 like this. Right now, Osmo Pocket 3 has to be the leading content creation camera in the market. It's no brainer. Just almost, especially now when it comes to vlogging, man, this camera is so convenient to use for vlogs. This camera is so comfortable to use for vlogs, and I kid you not. If you're still thinking about it, like you're thinking if you want to vlog, you want to go outside and film, you want to do some spontaneous filming without having to carry a lot of gadgets with you, I think Osmo Pocket 3 is the best. It's just a combination of the gimbal, the camera, and what again? The light. It's so simple. If honestly, in my experience, people don't even know I'm holding a camera until I'm so close to them. I was filming in Anfield in Liverpool Stadium recently, and this man was like, "Are you really holding a camera?" He didn't even notice. They won't even notice until you're so close, and they're wondering, "What? This is so wonderful! Like you mean you're holding a camera?" Like, yes, I'm holding a camera, and I have to show it to them. Like, look at what it looks like. And now the funniest thing is, now it shoots 4K. It shoots highly cinema graded footages. I have a package to collect in this shop. Got a impost. Yeah, you check it out. Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Huh? Okay, thank you. Okay, now I'm finally back to the house with no shelf, obviously. But then now I'm on low light mode, which is actually better. I have more light on my face, more exposure in the whole video now, and which is pretty decent. I think the only limitations about shooting the low light mode is that you cannot shoot in 60 frames per second. You can only shoot in 24 frames per second and 4K, which is still good. Then you can't shoot in Dlog. You can't shoot in Dlog in the low light mode. You just have your colors normal in the normal way, but it's still pretty decent. The whole idea is that you can have good videos every time you go out to shoot content, so it makes a lot of sense. So that's how I use my Osmo Pocket 3 to vlog. If you like my content, please subscribe to my channel and push the notification button so that every time I drop a new video, you can get the notification and watch more videos. Thank you.